3 people are safe after a shrimp boat took on water and started listing toward the port side this morning off Little Talbot Island. You saw this as local breaking news on the morning show. Send out a mobile push alert on this story at 7:06. Here's a look at the boat from Sky 4. The marine distress call came in, as we mentioned, about 7. News4JAX reporter Chris Parento is live in Little Talbot Island. Chris.
Bruce, not only did the boat take on water, it is continuing to take on water, and you can barely see it in the surf out there as the tide is coming in right now. Still stuck in the sandbar behind me. Likely will remain that way until at least 2 o'clock when it is full high tide. Live this afternoon, I'm Chris Parento, Channel 4, the local station.
The initial flooding comes from storm surge. Here's Joy with a look at the potential effects of that storm surge.
We wanted to give you an idea of the storm surge that's expected with Hurricane Harvey. I checked with Rebecca. She says in some of the worst hit areas, they can expect to see a storm surge of 9 to 13 feet. Now, I'm standing on the landing in between the 2 floors here at the local station. Take a look at this tape measure. You can see where 9 feet measures and 13 feet. If you consider a single-story home is usually about 10 feet, then you can imagine the damage that will be done. Kent, Mary?
A vision for the future. Jaguars owner Shad Khan revealing plans for a covered practice facility, amphitheater, and club seats.
And both the east and the west sides of Everbank Field will offer our fans the best premium experience anywhere in the NFL.
Plus, a shooting not far from the Veterans Memorial Arena. The victim was inside a car.
Because we need to get these dirt bags off the street.
What the sheriff's office is revealing about this investigation.
Live from the local station, News4JAX starts now.
A huge box filled with children's medical records found on the side of Beach Boulevard and brought to the News4JAX I-Team.
I mean, it's insane.
At the scene, our cameras find even more papers filled with protected personal information blowing in the wind. Social security numbers, addresses, and dates of births for area children. The I-Team investigates accident or negligence.
What's more, the News4JAX I-Team uncovered these records belong to young patients of Dr. Howard Schneider, the former pediatric dentist charged with Medicare fraud and accused of abusing children at his Southside dentist office. I-Team investigator Lindsay Gardner went to work to get answers to all this.
Lindsay, how in the world could this happen?
Good question there, Tom. Take a look at this, guys. We have counted 102 files just in this box. You can see where the box was busted here when it was brought to us. Even more papers from the side of the road there, potentially more files, all there blowing on the side of Beach Boulevard and thrown into this bag. A Good Samaritan found all of this and brought it to the News4JAX I-Team because he didn't know what else to do. We wanted to know who was at fault and what to do now. This isn't where any parent would want their child's personal identifying information to end up. The News4JAX I-Team found countless papers strewn all along Beach Boulevard after a Good Samaritan alerted us to this scene. The same man who didn't want to be identified brought our team of investigators this huge box of medical files he had found at the same spot on Saturday. Jim Piggott and I got to work to find out exactly what information was inside these files and quickly learned these belonged to children. At least 102 children to be exact, maybe more.
The example on this, I mean, this is
the
patient's name, added their billing statement.
Look how many teeth
were extracted.
Yeah.
This is one with insurance information.
We got to work to notify some parents like Michael Spear.
Yeah, I'm absolutely outraged. I mean, you were able to get a hold of me in 2 minutes of looking at a record.
Spears' child's file was light. His son only went twice because he says he didn't like Dr. Schneider. Inside other files, we made a disturbing find. Specific informed consent. when your child is sedated and or extremely upset and fearful in the office, consent letters to allow the doctor to strap young children to papoose boards, labeled by Dr. Howard Schneider as a compassionate technique to perform safe, comfortable, and quality dental treatment. These are the same boards that children later recalled in their office horror stories to prosecutors following the arrest of Dr. Schneider. He is still facing 11 Medicare fraud charges from 2016, but so far has been ruled mentally incompetent to stand trial. Inside another child's medical file, a note from Schneider's staff. This mom is very ridiculous. A letter that goes on to say the mother wanted her child's medical records released back to her. The date, April 22nd, 2015. The same month, parents later began protesting outside of Dr. Schneider's office, alleging abuse.
I'm kind of in shock right now.
Attorney John Phillips came by to assess what we found. We called him because he represented 131 victims in civil cases against Dr. Schneider.
There's dangerous stuff in here that's offensive, that it's gotten to where somebody just dropped it off at a news station because it was on the street.
Phillips says it's also potentially against the law. He wouldn't even look inside a record because of privacy laws, but noted in the wrong hands, it could have been a different story. We reached out to Dr. Schneider's attorneys, Bill Shepard and Betsy White. They sent us this note explaining a box of records inadvertently fell off a truck while transporting to a secure location. The accident occurred during a rainstorm. I thought all the documents were retrieved. Every effort was made to maintain the integrity of these files. However, Mother Nature had other plans. But for Spear, it's not good enough.
I mean, it's insane. I don't care if you want to blame Mother Nature or not. With information like that out there, you need to be on top of it and make sure you get everything.
We have been in contact with our attorney as well as Dr. Schneider's attorneys. We are keeping the records locked away here at the station so as not to compromise them any further. And we are coordinating with attorneys Shepard and White to pick them up.
This is unsettling, Lindsay, for any parent because of so many doctors' offices that have this kind of information. Have you been able to find out whether the mishandling of these documents breaks the law?
It's still unclear at this time. It really depends on who was in possession of the records. We know Schneider's building had been foreclosed on, so it could be possibly just maybe more negligence by a moving company, but without all the facts, we can't say for sure. I can tell you it is against Florida law to destroy records before 5 years and up to 7 years if medical malpractice could be involved, which in these cases, we know that has been a concern. I also can give parents at home this advice tonight. You do not have to put down your child's social security number in writing on paper like a lot of medical offices ask. If they need it, you are able to verbally give it to them, but you do not have to put it in writing. That is a tip a lot of parents aren't aware of. And becoming a new mom myself, you know, you get these documents, you just start kind of filling them out, rote memorization. But again, guys, you don't have to give them that information. If they need it, you can give it verbal. That way, there's no record of it.
Lindsay, thank you.
A Positively Jack story tonight, a Jacksonville man who first made a name for himself through wrestling, now making a name for himself through charity. He says he wants to give back to the city that gave him so much. Elijah Burke is a commentator for Total Nonstop Action Wrestling. His character name is the Pope D'Angelo De Niro, and his act of kindness today is worthy of a pontiff.
The smiles. Gosh, the smiles on these people's faces when they realize that they're not being fed out of a soup kitchen.
Burke fed, clothed, and gave hygiene products to homeless and disadvantaged families in Jacksonville through his Love Alive charity. He got emotional while talking about the work. The event, now in its 4th year, was held at the Burger King on East State Street.
I have some people that believe in this cause. All of these individuals that you see back here, they have donated, and I tell people $1 helps, you know, but if I have to come out here every year and feed myself, feed these individuals myself out of my pocket, I have no problem doing it.
Before his mission of giving back, Burke wasn't just known for his performance in the ring. He was a deputy with the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office between 1998 and 2003 while working on a career as an amateur boxer. The former deputy wrestled for WWE from 2004 to 2008, taking part in WrestleMania 23. He's worked with TNA Wrestling off and on since 2009.
Obviously, a lot of people may remember Officer Burke fighting in Guns and Hoses, putting on the show as only I can.
Burke is quick to point out he hasn't forgotten where he came from and doesn't intend to anytime soon.
I grew up here. I shopped at that Winn-Dixie for years. As a kid, getting my cereal, I ate at this Burger King for years, and all of my old neighborhood right now is buried under the parking lot of the Alltel Stadium and Jacksonville Coliseum. So I never forget where I come from. This is home, and I always want to give back whenever I will have the opportunity to. And fortunately enough for me, the last 4 years I've been able to do that.
And Burke says he wants to continue this cause in the years to come. He welcomes volunteers and donations to help the charity grow.